Hi everyone, you made it. This is the last assignment that's going out before you are officially on summer break. Yay! I come to you today. We are going to do a combination of two lessons, but we're not doing every single thing. So it will not take as long as you think it will with two lessons. We want you to be able to finish the story. This story is more important now than ever. If you're paying attention to what is happening in this country, you really do need to understand how it coincides. It's got a lot of merit. There are things that need to be talked about, and there are things that need to be done. So still to this day, so please take the time to read this and think about it, and really, you know, uh, think inside really heavy about how it can be compared, and all of the things and the pieces taken with you um, for what is going on right now. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to start on our journey here to finish this assignment. And we are on a Raisin in the Sun, have been for ages. We're going to go now to lesson 14. In lesson 14, we are going to go to tab 2. We're going to discuss what the difference is between a realist and an idealist. I will reread the scene with Asagai and Benita, okay? This is where he's talking to her because she's so upset about Walter taking the money and now it's gone. All right, so in Act 3, Asagai says, what you have said about the circle, it isn't a circle. It is simply a long line, as in geometry. You know, one that reaches into infinity. And because we cannot see the end, we also cannot see how it changes. And it is very odd, but those who see the changes, who dream, who will not give up, are called idealists. And those who see only the circle, we call them realists. Okay? So, according to Asagai, when faced with an obstacle, idealists will keep pushing towards the goal. Okay, so that's a drop down menu, or change or give up on. So idealists, do they keep pushing or do they change? Okay, and then, and in the opposite, what do realists do? Do they change or keep pushing? Answer that question. And now, this is where you have to choose, okay? We basically, the teachers have decided that we want you to choose tab 3, tab 4, or tab 5 according to which character you picked, okay? The one that you have been analyzing all along, or one of the ones that you've been analyzing all along. I'm going to go through each one, okay? But you're only going to do one of these tabs, okay? So if you pick Benita, all right, go back and look at how Benita responds, and what does she say about her dream of becoming a doctor? And do you remember that she kind of goes into when she was a child, somebody had an accident, and then she thought that that kid was going to die, and then they sewed him up and he was okay, and she was like, oh my God, I want to do that. And then, now it's just, why would I even want to try? There are so many human beings that are so dark and so angry and so mean, and everybody just fights each other. Why would I want to save them, kind of thing? Okay, so what does she say about her dream of becoming a doctor? She obviously changes her mind now in the sight of all of this. How does Benita respond to the obstacle of Walter losing the money? She loses all hope. So now she's just going to change her plan. And remember what Asagai said about people who are realists change their plan. People who are idealists keep pushing forward. Okay, that's the difference. Sometimes we can be a mixture of both, but Benita definitely is being a realist here. Okay. All right. Now, if you choose Ruth and Mama and their response to losing the money. Okay. This is the scene where Mama says, you know what? We're going to just fix this place up. It'll be fine. Everything's good. We can just get the money back. And we'll just deal with this and we'll figure it out as we go. We're not going to move. Ruth, on the other hand, still feels like they can push forward and move through this and work through this. Okay. So this is card 1 where that's where the scene is that you would read. And in card 2, okay, you're going to highlight what shows Mama about her dream. Or if you chose Ruth, highlight evidence that shows Ruth what she says about her dream. Okay. Mama responds like she's going to change the plan. So we'll go back to what Asagai said. When you change the plan because of obstacles, you're a realist. Okay. Ruth wants to continue and push through. When you don't change those plans and you try to continue towards your goal, you're an idealist. Okay. And then if you choose Walter and how he reacts, okay, highlight evidence that shows how Walter reacts to the loss of the money, okay? Now, I'm gonna read this part because we haven't read this yet. Mama says, where you been, son? Walter, breathing hard. I made a call. To who, son? To the man. He heads for his room. What man, baby? He stops at the door. The man, Mama, don't you know who the man is? Walter Lee. The man, like the guys in the streets say, the man, Captain Boss, Mr. Charlie, old Captain, please, Mr. Boss Man. Linder, Benita says. Walter says, that's right, that's good. I told him to come right over. Benita fiercely, for what? What do you want to see him for? Walter says, we going to do business with him. Mama says, what you talking about, son? Talking about life, Mama. You always tell me to see life like it is. Well, I laid in there on my back today and I figured it out. Life just like it is. Who gets and who don't get. He sits down in his coat on and laughs. Mama, you know it's all divided up. Life is, sure enough, between the takers and the tooken. I figured it out finally. He looks around. Yeah, some of us always get tooken. People like Willie Harris, they don't get tooken. And you know why the rest of us do? Because we all mixed up bad. We get to look around for the right and the wrong, and we worry about it and cry about it and stay up nights trying to figure out about the right and the wrong things all the time. And all the time, man, them takers is out there operating, just taking and taking. Willie Harris don't even count. He don't even count on the big scheme of things. But I'll say one thing for old Willie Harris. He's taught me something. He's taught me to keep my eye on what counts in this world. Yeah. Thanks, Willie. Ruth says, what did you call that man for? Called him to tell him to come on over to the show. Gotta put on a show for the man. Just what he wants to see. You see, Mama, the man came here today and he told us that them people out there where you want us to move, well, they're so upset they're willing to pay us to not move. And oh, Mama, you would have been proud of the way me and Bruce and Benny acted. We told him to get out. Lord have mercy, we told the man to get out. Oh, we was some proud folks this afternoon, yeah. We were still full of that old time stuff, Bruce says. You talking about taking them people's money to keep us from moving in their house? I ain't just talking about it, baby. I'm telling you, that's what's gonna happen. Benita says, oh God, where's the bottom? Where is the real honest to God bottom so we can't go any further? See, Walter says, that's the old stuff. You and that boy that was here today, you all want everybody to carry a flag and a spear and sing some marching songs. You want to spend your life looking into things and trying to find the right and the wrong part. Yeah, you know what's going to happen to that boy someday? He'll find himself sitting in a dungeon locked in forever. And the takers will have the key. Forget it, baby. There ain't no causes. There ain't nothing but taking in this world. And he who takes most is smartest. And it don't make a damn bit of difference now. How? You making something inside me cry, son, Mama says. Some awful pain inside. Don't cry, Mama. Understand. That white man is going to walk in that door, able to write checks for more money than we ever had. It's important to him, and I'm going to help him. I'm going to put on the show, Mama. Son, I come from 5 generations of people who were slaves and sharecroppers, but ain't nobody in my family never let nobody pay him no money. That was a way of telling us we wasn't fit to walk the earth. We ain't never been that poor. We ain't never been that dead inside. Beneath us as well, we're dead now. All the talk about dreams and sunlight that goes on in this house is all dead now. Walter says, what's the matter with you all? I didn't make this world. It was given to me this way. Hell yes, I want some yachts someday. Yes, I want to hang some real pearls around my wife's neck. Ain't she supposed to wear no pearls? Somebody tell me, who decides which women is supposed to wear pearls in the world? I tell you, I'm a man, and I think my wife should wear some pearls in this world. Okay. What's Walter planning to do? Obviously, he's planning to get the money back and then some from Mr. Lindner. Walter is number 3 asks you, Walter is changing his dream or changing his action to continue to go after his dream. Okay, he's not changing his dream. He's changing his action to still go after the dream, but he's going to do it like he feels like other people do and do it any way that he can, cheat, steal, what have you. Now, again, before I go on, you're only going to do 3, 4, or 5. You're not doing all 3. Okay, I just went and did all 3 so that would be explained. Okay, exit ticket. In this scene, the characters' responses to the loss of money reveal their current points of view about their ability to make real change. Drag each character's quote from this scene to the point of view it reveals. Okay, so the point of view of why bother changing something small when the problem is so big should be beneath them. And it says, because it doesn't seem deep enough, close enough to what ails mankind. It was a child's way of seeing things or an idealist. Okay, so that's the one. Second, sometimes you can't see the impact of your actions, but that doesn't mean they have not had an impact. That would be Asagai. And he says, and because we cannot see the end, we also cannot see how it changes. Third one, make the most of what you have rather than be excited about changing things. That would be Mama. And she says, Lord, ever since I was a little girl, I always remember people saying, Lena Eggleston, you aim too high all the time. You need to slow down and see life a little more like it is. Okay. One side comment here is that when they're down on the bottom, you may have to lift them up one at a time, like this. Like if this were to go up here, you may have to lift it to here and then lift it to the second one and the third one because it's so big down the bottom. It depends on your computer, right? The other thing I want to say is these quotes right here, really think about them and how they relate to today's society. Really, really think about them and how they relate to today's society. Okay, now we're gonna go to tab 7, which is the solo. Okay. On the solo, I am going to read you the excerpt. Now, this part, I'm sorry, maybe I don't have to. This part is where Mama and Walter, Benitha, and Ruth are having the conversation about Walter getting the money from Lindner. Okay. And I'm going to go to the part and then he says, what's the matter with you all? I didn't make this world. Okay, so then Mama responds, baby, how are you going to feel on the inside? Walter says, fine, gonna feel fine. A man. Mama says, you won't have nothing left, Walter Lee. I'm gonna feel fine, Mama. I'm gonna look that son of a gun in the eye and say, all right, Mr. Lindner, that's your neighborhood out there. You got the right to keep it like you want it. You got the right to have it like you want it. Just write the check and the house is yours. And And I'm going to say, and you people just put the money in my hand and you want to live next to this bunch of thinking and Negroes. He straightens up and moves away from the mother, walking around the room. Sorry. And maybe I'll just get down on my black knees. Can't miss the boss man, groveling, grinning, and wringing his hands. He. Oh, yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. Great white father. Just give us some money, for God's sake. And we ain't grown. Come out and dirty up your white folks' neighborhood. He breaks down completely, and I'll feel fine. Fine. Benita says, this is not a man. This is nothing but a toothless rat. Mama says, yes. Death done come in here, this here house. Done come walking in my house on the lips of my children. You was supposed to be my beginning again. You was supposed to be my harvest. You mourning your brother? Benita says, he's no brother of mine. What you say? Mama says. I said that individual in that room is no brother of mine. Mama says, that's what I thought you said. You feeling like you're better than he is today? Benita doesn't answer. Yes? What you tell him a minute ago? That he wasn't a man? Yes? You give him up for me? You done wrote his epitaph too, like the rest of the world? Well, who give you the privilege? Benita says, be on my side for once. You saw what he just did, Mama. You saw him down on his knees. Wasn't it you who taught me to despise any man who would do that? Do what he's going to do? Yes, I taught you that. Me and your daddy. But I thought I taught you something else too. I thought I taught you to love him. Love him? There's nothing left to love. There is always something left to love. And if you ain't learned that, you ain't learned nothing. Have you cried for that boy today? I don't mean for yourself and for the family because we lost the money. I mean for him, what he's been through, what it's done to him. Child, when do you think is the time to love somebody the most? When they done good and made things easy for everybody? Oh, then you ain't through learning, because that ain't the time at all. It's when he's at his lowest and can't believe in himself because the world done whipped him. When you start measuring somebody, measure him right, child. Measure him right. Make sure you done taken into account what hills and valleys he comes through before he got wherever he is. Travis bursts into the room. Grandmama, the moving men are downstairs. The truck just pulled up. They downstairs, Mama says. She sighs. Linder appears in the doorway. He peers in, knocks slightly to gain attention. Linder says, hello. Ruth crosses mechanically to the bedroom door, opens it, and lets it swing open freely and slowly as the lights come up on Walter within, still in his coat, sitting in the far corner of the room. He looks up and out through the room. He's here, Ruth says. A long minute passes and Walter slowly gets up. Linder coming to the table with efficiency, putting his briefcase on the table and starting to unfold papers and unscrew fountain pens. Well, I certainly was glad to hear from you people. Walter has begun the trek out of to the room, slowly and awkwardly, rather like a small boy passing the back of his sleeve across his mouth from time to time. Life can really be so much simpler than people let it be most of the time. Well, with whom do I negotiate? You, Mrs. Younger, or your son here? Mama sits with her hands folded on her lap and her eyes closed as Walter advances. Travis goes closer to Linder and looks at the papers. Just some official papers, honey. Travis, you go downstairs, Ruth says. Mama, opening her eyes. No. Travis, you stay right here. And you make him understand what you're doing, Walter Lee. You teach him good, like Willie Harris taught you. You show where our 5 generations done come to. Walter looks from her to the boy, who grins at him innocently. Go ahead, son. She folds her hands and closes her eyes. Go ahead. Walter at last crosses to Linder, who is reviewing the contract. Well, Mr. Linder, we called you because, well, me and my family, well, we are very plain people. Yes, Mr. Linder says. I mean, I've worked as a chauffeur most of my life, and my wife here, she does domestic work in people's kitchens. So does my mother. I mean, we're plain people. Yes, Mr. Younger, Linder says. And, well, my father, well, he was a laborer most of his life. Yes, I understand, Linder says. Walter, my father almost beat a man to death once because this man called him a bad name at something. You know what I mean? Linda looking up. No, I'm afraid I don't. Walter. Yeah, well, what I mean is that we come from people who had a lot of pride. I mean, we're very proud people, and that's my sister over there, and she's going to be a doctor, and we're very proud. Well, I'm sure that's very nice, but what I'm telling you is that we called you over here to tell you that we are proud and that this, Travis, come here. This is my son, and he makes the sixth generation our family in this country. And we have all thought about your offer. Well, good, good, Mr. Linden said. And we have decided to move into our house because my father, he earned it for us brick by brick. Mama has her eyes closed and is rocking back and forth as though she was in church with her head nodding. We don't want to make no trouble for nobody or fight no causes, and we will try to be good neighbors. And that's all we got to say about that. He looks the man absolutely in the eyes. We don't want your money. And then he turns and walks away. Mr. Linder looking around. I take it then that you've decided to occupy. Benita says, that's what he said. That's what the man said. Linder to Mama. Then I would like to appeal to you, Mrs. Younger. You are older and wiser and understand things better, I'm sure. Mama says, I'm afraid you don't understand. My son said we was going to move and there ain't nothing left for me to say. You know how these young folks is nowadays, mister? Can't do a thing with 'em. As he opens his mouth, goodbye. Lindner, folding up his materials. Well, if you are that final about it, there is nothing left for me to say. He finishes, almost ignored by the family, who are concentrating on Walter. At the door, Lindner halts. I sure hope you people know what you're getting into. He shakes his head and exits. Ruth. Well, for God's sake, if the moving men are here, let's get the hell out of here. Mama. Ain't it the truth? Look at all this here mess, Ruth. But Travis's Travis's good jacket on him. Walter Lee, fix your tie and tuck your shirt in. You look like somebody's hoodlum. Lord have mercy, where's my plant? She flies to get it. Bustling of family, I'm sorry, and amid the general bustling of the family who are deliberately trying to ignore the nobility of the past moment. You all start on down. Travis child, don't go empty-handed. Bruce, where did I put that box with my skillets in it? I want to be in charge of that myself. I'm going to make us the biggest dinner we ever ate tonight. Benita, what's the matter with them stockings? Pull them things up, girl. The family starts to file out as two moving men appear and begin to carry out heavier pieces of furniture, bumping into the family as they move about. Mama, Asagai asked me to marry him today and go to Africa. You ain't old enough to marry nobody. Darling, that ain't no bale of cotton. Please handle it so we can sit in it again. I had that chair 25 years, to the moving men. Benita says, to go to Africa, Mama, be a doctor in Africa? Yes, baby, Mama says. Africa? What do he want you to go to Africa for? To practice there. Girl, if you don't get all them silly ideas out of your head, you better marry yourself a man with some loot. Benita angrily. What have you got to do with who I marry? Plenty. Now I think George Murchison. George Murchison? I would marry him if he was Adam and I was Eve. Walter and Benita go out yelling at each other vigorously, and anger is loud and real till their voices diminish. Mama fixes her hat. Yeah, they's something all right, my children. Yeah, Ruth said, there's something. Let's go, Lena. Mama says, yes, I'm coming, Ruth. Ruth says, yes. He finally come into his manhood today, didn't he? Kind of like a rainbow after the rain. Yes, Lena. Walter. Y'all, come on. These people charge you by the hour, you know. Mama. All right, honey, go on down. I'll be down directly. Ruth hesitates, then exits. Mama stands at last alone in the living room, her plant on the table before her as the lights start to come down. She looks around at all the walls and ceilings, and suddenly, despite herself, while the children call below, a great heaving thing rises in her, and she puts her fist to her mouth to stifle it, takes a final desperate look, pulls her coat about her, puts on her hat, and goes out. The lights dim down, the door opens, and she comes back in, grabs her plant, and goes out for the last time. Okay, so card 3. What does Walter want most for Ruth in paragraph 109? Remember, he wants to buy her pearls and for her to have the luxuries of all of the other women. Card 4. How do Ruth, Mama, and Benita react to Walter's behavior? They are horrified and they are embarrassed. Okay, they're not confused, they're not supportive, and they're not inspired. They are horrified and embarrassed. Card 5. Why does Mama suggest that Travis stay in the room? When Walter is dealing with Mr. Lindner, she actually is trying to make a point to Walter. This child is watching you. He's going to know what you've done and how you're dealing with things. What are you going to do to teach him the right way? Or are you going to go ahead and do what you said you were going to do and teach him how to do things understandably and not have any integrity? Card 6. At the end of Mr. Lindner's visit, Walter's final decision is to, okay, and that's a drop down. Agree not to move into another house, move into the house Mama bought, or accept Mr. Lindner's offer. Obviously, he is refusing Mr. Lindner's offer, and they're all going to move into that house. What are the plans Benita is considering for her future? Drag 3 choices. She wants to become a doctor. She might want to go practice medicine in Africa. She may want to marry Asagai. So that's the last part that you hear, and you don't know what she is going to choose. But those are 3 things that she's thinking about. In paragraph 173, Mama says he finally come into his manhood, kind of like a rainbow after the rain. What does she mean by this? Okay. Describe Walter's journey and how it relates to a rainbow after the rain. So think about how he began and how he was very frustrated as a man. Nobody was listening to him. And finally, Mama tried to enable him, and then he made this decision that really messed everything up, and all the money is gone. And then again, he stumbled and he was like, fine, I'm just going to play everybody, expects me to do, and I'm just going to play it like everybody wants me to in society and not move there, and we're just going to do those things. And then he finally found his integrity and grabbed a hold of it, and that was the hardest thing for him to do in the face of a society that deems him unworthy and doesn't want to listen to what he has to say. And take the high road and, choose what's best for his family even in the face of an obstacle like the people not wanting them there. Okay, he did the right thing by his family. All right, so make sure that you hand that in. And now we're going to go to lesson 15, and that's going to be the last lesson. It's entitled, You Teach Him Good. Okay. And in our solo, we already read, okay, what Walter does in card 1. Sorry, I have to go back to that. It starts out about where in Act 3, and it actually has where Mama says she's giving up on moving because there's no money left. How are they going to pay for the house? So they're just going to make the apartment better. And we're going to skip over card 2 because we cannot discuss that. And we're going to go directly to card 3. In paragraph 114, Walter says he is confident in his plan to take Mr. Lindner's money. Yet the author gives us clues that Walter may not be positive he's doing the right thing. Select 5 moments that suggest that Walter may be sure of himself. Okay? May not be sure of himself. I'm going to feel fine, Mama. I'm going to look that in the eye and say, and then he falters. He falters. Whenever he falters, that means that he stops talking and he has to get his momentum back about what he's saying. So it kind of gives that idea that Walter really doesn't believe what he's saying. He really doesn't think that he's thinking maybe this isn't the best decision. So through all of that, there's 5 different pieces, okay, where it's underlined. A, he falters. B is one of them. You got the right to have it like you want. His voice almost breaks. You people just put the money in my hand. In profoundly anguished imitation. Voice breaks. He forces himself to go on. And he breaks down completely. So here's B, D, G, H, and I guess that's I, okay? Those are the 5 different pieces that are underlined that would tell you that he's not sure of himself, okay? Hand that in. In tab 3, this is of just the reading. You just need to read through this from beginning to end so that you renew what happened, which we just did. It's really the moving people coming and everybody bustling about. And it says here, think about how your character acts now in response to the obstacle, okay? Now, as in after they've made the decision that they're not taking the money and that they're moving, okay? So on tab 4, because there's no real work on tab 3, it asks us, what do you think happens during Mr. Lindner's visit that changes Walter's mind about accepting the money? Now, think about this, okay? What could it have been that changed Walter's mind? First of all, he wasn't so sure. He was shuffling out, and then Mama made Travis stay. So, I mean, that kind of might be a key thing. Okay, so think about that. Use race to answer that question. Now, this is a writing, and in this writing, you have to write at least 100 words, and I really do want to see 100 words. I want you to pick the character that you actually did last lesson 14 when you told whether they were idealist or realist. Pick that character, and based on what you know about that character, do his or her actions in the last part of Act 3 represent a change in that character, or are the actions consistent with that what the character was like before? Okay, so if you chose Walter, he definitely has changed. If you chose Mama, she didn't change that much. She was very steady. If you chose Benita, you could argue a lot of that nuances about whether she did change or where she didn't. But she did because she lost faith, and she seemed to have gotten it back at the end as well. Ruth was kind of a consistent person as well. She wanted to believe she was, so kind of like she was the idealist in all of this. So she kept pushing forward even in the face of everything else. So just make sure that when you choose your character, you answer the question using race with at least 100 words. Skip over tab 6, the last tab that you are doing in this lesson is tab 7, and it asks you to look back at your writing, copy and paste the moment in your writing that you think best shows a change in your character's point of view, and how does the part of your writing show this change in the point of view, okay? So you're going to copy and paste the moment in your writing that best shows the change or development in your character, and how does this part show the development in your character. Explain it. So you're copying and pasting it in one, and then you're explaining it in number two, and then you're going to hand that in. And that's it. So it probably will take maybe a couple of minutes more because it's combined, but I really truly believe that we wanted you to know, like I know that you wanted to know what the ending was. I really do want to press that, think about how this relates to things that you know. What can you make connections to? Even if you think about just the characters and what they're like, and if you know anybody like them, what they've been through, people who have lost faith in their goals, stumbled and fell and then turned around because of something else and got right back up and started again. I don't think that we have a lot of people that have never stumbled and fell, but I believe that most people who conquer and meet their goals have failed a lot. I know that I have, I know that many other people have, and meeting your goals, especially when you have such great obstacles in front of you, that it's easy to give up. So my thing is, even if you just learn to never give up, put that goal in front of you, try another way of getting to that goal if it is still with integrity, meaning it's still true to you. You're walking your truth. And then on the bigger side of this, think about how this story relates to how other people are treated, how you were treated, how people in general are treated, and then connect it with what's happening today, because there is some issues out there, obviously, and that we need to address, and we need to affect change because that there are some problems. And how would you go about expecting that change to happen? What specifically should be put in place? Because you guys are the generation that are gonna affect that change. You're gonna continue to work towards that goal. And so you may have lots of ideas that are different because other things in the past that have been tried are not obviously working completely. So, what is your recipe and your thoughts and what should happen? So that's something as well, because this story has merit. This story still can be related to today. Okay, that's my tirade. That's my soapbox. I love you all. I am humbled that I was able to be your teacher this year, even for the short amount of time that we had together. I want to let you know that I miss you and your faces, and I want to let you know that you're the best. You're great, and you have within you every single ounce of oomph that you need in order to do what you need to do, become the best person that you need to become. Walk your truth. Have a great summer. Bye.